Welcome to Decoded Frontier. The New York Knicks winning streak has come to an end, and the reason? None other than Steph Curry. Despite a strong first-half defense, Curry exploded in the second, leading the Warriors to victory. Let's break down what happened and how the Knicks struggled without Karl-Anthony Towns. All right, so we're diving into this New York Post article all about the Knicks and their loss to the Warriors on March 4th.
Okay.
And, the one where Steph Curry just kind of did Steph Curry things at the Garden?
Right.
Even though the Knicks had Mikal Bridges, their new defensive specialist guarding him.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah. It is an intriguing matchup for sure.
Oh, for sure.
The Knicks came out strong and actually held Curry to only 8 points in the first half.
Yeah.
But as we know, he's not one to stay quiet for long.
No, he is not. And the article really captures that shift, too.
Yeah.
Like in the third quarter, Curry explodes for 14 points, almost single-handedly erasing the Knicks' lead.
Wow.
It's like he flipped a switch.
Yeah.
And suddenly it was just vintage Steph.
Well, and what's really fascinating is that despite the Knicks' initial success, the Warriors never really seemed to panic. They just kept feeding other players, trusting that Curry would eventually find his rhythm.
So is that a testament to Curry's ability to adapt, or did the Knicks defense simply let up in the second half?
I think it's probably a combination of both. Curry is known for his ability to analyze defenses and exploit weaknesses.
Yeah.
But the article also mentions that Bridges, despite a strong start, seemed to fade as the game went on.
Which is interesting because the Knicks paid a pretty hefty price for Bridges, 5 first-round picks.
Yeah.
They clearly believe he was the answer to their Curry problem.
Well, it's one game.
Yeah.
And it's too early to make any definitive judgments.
Sure.
But it does raise questions about whether the Knicks might have overvalued Bridges' defensive abilities.
Yeah, and let's not forget the Knicks were also without Karl-Anthony Towns for this game.
Oh, right.
For personal reasons, but that's a significant loss, especially against a team like the Warriors.
Absolutely. Towns' absence likely forced the Knicks to adjust their game plan,
right,
putting even more pressure on Bridges to contain Curry.
And while the Knicks kept it close for most of the game, they really fell apart in the final minute.
Yeah.
Missed shots, turnovers, poor defensive rotations. It was a meltdown.
Yeah.
The article even quotes Coach Thibodeau saying, missed shots, slow getting back, got to play tougher than that down the stretch.
Oof. Yeah, those crucial moments often reveal a team's true character, Rono.
Yeah.
Can they execute under pressure? Can they maintain their composure when things get tight?
Right.
It seems like the Knicks still have some work to do in that area.
Especially against a team like the Warriors, who thrive in those high-pressure situations.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Curry hit 2 clutch three-pointers in the fourth quarter, including the dagger that sealed the win.
Oh, yeah.
It was almost like he was toying with them at that point.
And the article describes this amazing scene after Curry hits that final three-pointer.
Oh, yeah. I read about that.
He's wide open. The crowd is going wild, and he just shrugs his shoulders as if to say, yeah, that's what I do.
Classic Curry, creating another iconic moment at the Garden.
Mm-hmm.
He's now 12-1 at MSG in his career.
Wow.
That's just ridiculous.
It speaks to his ability to not just dominate a game, but to do it in a way that transcends the sport.
Yeah.
He creates these moments that people will remember and talk about for years to come.
It's that combination of skill, personality, and stage presence that makes him so captivating.
Yeah, the article highlights how both OG Anunoby and Jalen Brunson had solid scoring nights for the Knicks.
Yeah, they did.
But their efforts were ultimately overshadowed by Curry's brilliance.
Anunoby led the Knicks with 29 points and Brunson added 25, but it wasn't enough to overcome Curry's impact.
Right. And Brunson even had a telling quote in the article about guarding Curry. He said, he's able to get hot at any given moment. You've got to make it tough for him.
I saw that.
It's a simple statement, but highlights the challenge of facing a player like Curry.
Yeah, it almost feels like even with a dedicated defender like Bridges, you can't completely shut down Curry.
Right.
He's going to find a way to make an impact. Yeah.
And that brings us to a crucial question. Is it even possible to build a team around stopping someone like Curry? Or do you have to focus on simply outscoring him?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
The Knicks clearly invested heavily in defense with Bridges.
Right.
But is that the right strategy in today's NBA?
Well, let's dig into that a bit further.
Okay.
It seems like the league is trending toward valuing defensive specialists more than ever before. But is that at the expense of offensive firepower?
It's a fascinating dilemma, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on whether the Knicks with their heavy investment in Bridges, might be overemphasizing defense.
Let's explore that idea.
Okay.
But first, I think it's worth analyzing Bridges' performance a bit more closely.
Right.
Did he truly limit Curry in the first half, or did Curry simply have an off night?
Okay, let's break down Bridges' impact.
Okay.
The article mentions that he was very physical with Curry early on, forcing him into tough shots and disrupting his rhythm.
Yeah, but did that force the Warriors into uncomfortable situations, or did they simply adjust their offense to find open shots for other players?
That's a great question, and I think it gets to the heart of the Knicks' dilemma.
Okay.
If Bridges' success in the first half simply forced the Warriors to find other scoring options, was his impact truly significant?
It's a complex issue, but one thing is clear.
Maybe that.
The Knicks' success, both in this game and in the long run, might hinge on their ability to find the right balance between defense and offense.
All right, so let's unpack this balance a bit further.
Okay.
The article suggests that while Bridges' defense was impressive early on, Curry eventually figured out how to exploit the Knicks' defensive scheme.
That's what makes Curry so dangerous.
Yeah.
He's not just a shooter, he's a basketball savant.
Right.
He's constantly analyzing the game, looking for weaknesses, and adjusting his approach.
So how did Curry eventually break free from Bridges' defense?
Yeah.
Was it a matter of shot selection? Did the Warriors start running different plays to get him open looks?
Let's take a look at the turning point in the game, that third quarter, where Curry exploded for 14 points.
Okay.
The article describes how he started attacking the basket more aggressively, drawing fouls, and getting to the free throw line.
So it wasn't just about hitting outside shots. He found ways to score in a variety of ways.
Exactly, and that adaptability is what makes him so difficult to guard.
Yeah.
You can't just focus on taking away one aspect of his game. You have to account for everything he brings to the table.
And it wasn't just the scoring either.
Right.
The article highlights how Curry's presence on the court seemed to elevate his teammates as well.
Yeah.
Like they fed off his energy.
That's the mark of a true leader. You know,
Yeah.
Even when he's not scoring, he's making everyone around him better.
Right.
He creates opportunities for his teammates, draws defensive attention, and inspires them with his confidence.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about the Knicks' broader struggles.
Okay.
The article paints a picture of a team that's still searching for an identity. They've got some talented players, but they haven't quite figured out how to put it all together.
And this game seemed to exemplify those struggles.
Yeah.
You know, they were competitive for much of the game, but they couldn't maintain that intensity down the stretch.
Is that a sign of a lack of mental toughness, or are there deeper issues at play?
Well, the article mentions some recurring problems, missed shots, turnovers, and poor defense in crucial moments.
Right.
Those are all signs of a team that might be lacking the experience and composure needed to win close games against elite competition.
Especially against a team like the Warriors, who are known for their championship pedigree and ability to perform under pressure.
Right.
They don't panic, they stay composed, and they make the plays that matter most.
Exactly. And that experience gap was evident in the final minutes of this game.
No.
The Knicks seemed to unravel while the Warriors remained calm and collected.
You know, it's interesting because the Knicks' struggles seem to mirror a larger trend in the NBA. Teams are increasingly investing in defensive specialists like Bridges, hoping to shut down the league's elite scorers.
But as we've seen with Curry, even the best defenders can only do so much.
So is this emphasis on defense coming at the expense of offensive development?
That's a valid question.
Yeah,
While defense is crucial, you can't win games without scoring points.
of course.
Perhaps the Knicks need to reevaluate their roster construction and consider adding more offensive threats to complement their defensive strength.
That makes sense. You need to find that balance between stopping the other team and putting points on the board yourself.
Absolutely. And this game highlights the importance of adaptability.
Yeah.
Curry wasn't having his typical scoring night in the first half, but he adjusted his game,
Right.
found other ways to contribute, and eventually took over in the second half.
So what can the Knicks learn from this experience?
Sure.
Besides the obvious need to find a way to contain Curry, what are some key takeaways?
Well, I think they need to focus on developing their mental toughness and their ability to execute under pressure. They also need to find a more balanced approach, one that combines strong defense with a potent offense.
And perhaps they need to accept that there's no magic formula for stopping a player like Curry.
Right.
You can try to limit his impact, but he's always going to find a way to make his presence felt.
Exactly. He's a generational talent, and sometimes you just have to tip your cap and admire his brilliance.
You know, the article spends a lot of time describing that final three-pointer,
Yeah.
the one that sealed the win for the Warriors. The crowd is on his feet, the ball's in the air, and Curry just shrugs his shoulders as it swishes through the net.
I know.
It's an image that perfectly captures his persona.
It's the embodiment of his effortless brilliance combined with a touch of showmanship.
Yeah.
And that's what makes him so captivating to watch, that you never know what he's going to do next, but you can be sure it's going to be entertaining.
So to wrap up this deep dive, it seems like we've uncovered some important insights about Curry's continued dominance, the Knicks' ongoing struggles, and the evolving nature of the NBA itself.
Yeah, we've seen how Curry's adaptability and basketball IQ allow him to overcome defensive challenges. We've also seen how the Knicks, despite their investments in defense, still have some work to do in terms of finding the right balance and developing the mental toughness needed to compete at the highest level.
And perhaps most importantly, we've been reminded that basketball is a game of moments.
Right.
And Steph Curry, with his performance at the Garden, has once again given us a moment to savor a moment that reminds us why we love this game.
Well, let's connect these insights back to you, our listener.
Sure.
As you continue to follow the NBA, pay attention to how teams are adapting their strategies to deal with the league's elite scorers.
Okay.
Are they prioritizing defense over offense? Are they finding creative ways to generate scoring opportunities?
And think about the players themselves.
Yeah.
Who embodies that balance of skill, intelligence, and mental toughness that we see in Curry?
Right.
Who are the rising stars who are changing the game with their unique abilities?
These are the questions that keep the NBA so fascinating. And we encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the world of basketball.
Well said. Now, I know you've been eager to share your final thoughts on this game and its broader implications for the NBA.
Okay.
What's the key takeaway that's been swirling in your mind?
All right, here's what I keep coming back to this game, this Curry moment at the Garden.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about a single victory. It was a statement. It was a reminder that Steph Curry, even as he enters the latter stages of his career,
Right.
is still a force to be reckoned with, a player capable of bending the narrative of the game to his will.
Wow. That's powerful stuff. And it leads us to a final thought-provoking question for you, our listener.
Okay.
Even with a dedicated defender like Bridges, can anyone truly stop Steph Curry when he's in his element? Or are we witnessing a player who simply transcends defensive schemes and redefines what's possible on the basketball court? It's like he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers.
Right.
He's always a few steps ahead, anticipating what the defense will do and reacting accordingly.
That's a great analogy, and it speaks to his basketball IQ,
Yeah.
his understanding of the game at a level that few players ever reach.
So given the Knicks' struggles in this game and the larger trend of teams prioritizing defense, do you think we're entering a new era of basketball where offense takes a backseat?
It's certainly a trend worth watching.
Okay.
The league has always been cyclical, with different styles of play dominating different eras. Remember the high-flying, fast-paced offenses of the Showtime Lakers?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Or the grit and grind, defense-first mentality of teams like the Bad Boy Pistons?
Yeah, those were some iconic eras. So are we seeing a shift back towards that defensive dominance?
It's possible the rules have changed over the years,
Yeah.
making it more difficult for offenses to score at will.
Right. I mean,
The emergence of talented defensive players like Bridges is certainly contributing to this trend.
but you have to wonder, is this overemphasis on defense ultimately hurting the game? Are we sacrificing exciting offensive displays for a more grinded out style of play?
That's a question that fans and analysts will continue to debate.
Sure.
But one thing's for sure, the game is constantly evolving,
Right.
and teams need to adapt or risk being left behind.
And that brings us back to the Knicks.
Yeah.
They've made a huge bet on defense with Bridges. But can they find the right balance to compete in a league where offensive firepower is still essential?
That's the million-dollar question. They have some solid offensive pieces in Anunoby and Brunson,
Yeah.
but are they enough to keep pace with the league's elite scoring teams?
It'll be interesting to see how their strategy plays out over the rest of the season.
Yeah, it will.
But for now, I think we can all agree that this game, despite the loss for the Knicks, offered some valuable insights into the current state of the NBA.
Absolutely. We've seen the continued brilliance of Steph Curry, the challenges of building a championship caliber team, and the evolving dynamics between offense and defense.
And for you, our listener, we hope this deep dive has sparked some of your own insights and questions. As you watch future games, pay attention to the defensive schemes, the offensive strategies, and the subtle adjustments that coaches and players make throughout the game.
And most importantly, remember that basketball at its core is a game of moments. Moments of brilliance, moments of heartbreak moments that leave us breathless and wanting more. And Steph Curry, with his performance at the Garden, has once again given us a moment to savor a moment that reminds us why we love this game.
Well said. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into Steph Curry's latest masterpiece at the Garden. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world of knowledge.